1. The vastness of New France. Did you know that by 1712, New France was massive? It stretched from the Atlantic to the Rockies and from Hudson Bay to the Gulf of Mexico. Despite its size, it lagged behind English colonies in population due to its initial mercantile nature. However, under John Talon in the 1660s, New France started to develop into more populated colonies. But by the 1700s, European politics led to France losing these territories to Britain and Spain. 2. The wealth of Saint-Domingue Saint-Domingue, now known as Haiti, was France's most profitable Caribbean colony, producing the most sugar in the region. This island's wealth attracted many European powers and inevitably conflict, contributing to the Golden Age of piracy. 3. Golden Age of piracy. The Golden Age of piracy, from the mid-1600s to the early 1700s, saw pirates like Blackbeard terrorize the seas. Pirates established bases in remote areas, like Nassau in the Bahamas, creating pirate republics that became centers of lawlessness. 4. Henry Morgan's raid on Panama City In 1670, Welsh buccaneer Henry Morgan led a raid on Panama City, dealing a significant blow to the Spanish. This daring attack was one of many during the era of buccaneers and privateers who roamed the Caribbean. 5. The decline of piracy. By the 1720s, the Golden Age of piracy was ending. Naval forces grew stronger, and pirate havens like Nassau were dismantled. Prominent pirates like Blackbeard were killed, and the era of widespread piracy came to a close. 6. Portuguese in East Africa. The Portuguese established themselves in East Africa by building forts and sacking cities like Kilwa and Mombasa. They initially had friendly relations with the Shona state of Mutapa but eventually faced attacks from Arabs and the Dutch. 7. The transatlantic slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade saw millions of Africans forcibly taken to the Americas. Portuguese and Spanish colonies used African slaves for labor on plantations, drastically changing the demographic landscape of the Caribbean and the Americas. 8. Afrikaners in South Africa. The Dutch established a colony at the Cape of Good Hope in 1652. This colony evolved from a resupply station into a permanent settlement, with Dutch settlers, known as Boers, farming the land and developing a distinct language called Afrikaans. 9. Impact of the Barbary slave trade. The Barbary slave trade saw North African pirates raiding European coastlines for captives. One of the most famous captives was Miguel de Cervantes, who later wrote Don Quixote, a masterpiece of world literature. 10. Rise of sugar plantations in Brazil. The Portuguese turned to African slaves for labor on their sugar plantations in Brazil. By the 1520s, hundreds of thousands of slaves were being sent across the Atlantic, fueling the lucrative sugar trade. 11. European rivalries in the Caribbean. The Caribbean became a hotspot for European rivalries, with powers like France, Spain, and England vying for control of lucrative colonies. This competition often led to conflicts and shifting allegiances. 12. The monopolies of African kingdoms. The Shona kingdoms of Zimbabwe and Mutapa controlled the gold and salt trade in southeastern Africa. They initially had friendly relations with the Portuguese, who helped them against rivals and traded for gold. 13. Islamic influence in African trade. Islam significantly influenced African trade, particularly in the Sahara. The Songhai Empire under Askia Muhammad was deeply involved in the trans-Saharan slave trade, sending captives to Arab markets. 14. The Dutch East India Company, VOC. The Dutch East India Company, one of the first multinational corporations, established a powerful trade network in Southeast Asia. Their colony at the Cape of Good Hope was crucial for resupplying ships on the spice route. 15. The influence of European conflicts. European conflicts often spilled over into their colonies. Wars and treaties in Europe reshaped colonial territories and influenced the fate of regions like New France and the Caribbean islands. 16. The Middle Passage ***. Did you know that the Middle Passage was one of the deadliest journeys in human history? Between 1.5 to 2 million enslaved Africans perished during this harrowing voyage across the Atlantic. Conditions were brutal, with many dying from disease, malnutrition, and abuse. 17. Remarkable rulers and their rituals ****. History is full of powerful rulers with bizarre rituals. Take the Songhai Empire, for instance, which flourished in West Africa. Their decline began in the late 1500s when the Moroccan dynasty invaded with firearms. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, the Tangu Empire expanded rapidly using Portuguese firearms. 18. The weirdest rituals from every empire ***. Empires often had strange customs. The Ashanti Empire in West Africa, known for its gold trade, had intricate rituals for their kings. In Southeast Asia, the Javanese kings retained Hindu and Buddhist influences, with practices like batik and puppet shadow plays. 19. Impact of the slave trade on Africa ***. The transatlantic slave trade had profound effects on Africa. Communities were devastated as able-bodied men were captured and sent to the Americas. In contrast, West Africa's birth rates remained high due to the introduction of American crops like maize and manioc. 20. The story of Maroon communities ***. Escaped slaves formed Maroon communities to resist oppression. One famous settlement was Quilombo dos Palmares in Brazil, which stood strong against Portuguese forces for decades. 21. The role of firearms in shaping empires ***. The introduction of firearms reshaped many empires. The Tangu Empire in Burma became a dominant power with Portuguese firearms, while the Moroccan use of gunpowder led to the fall of the Songhai Empire. 22. The decline of the Songhai Empire ***. The Songhai Empire's decline was accelerated by the Moroccan invasion in 1591. With the fall of Gao, the empire collapsed, marking the end of the great West African kingdoms. 23. The Ashanti and Dahomey kingdoms ***. As the Songhai faded, the Ashanti and Dahomey kingdoms rose to prominence. The Ashanti dominated the gold trade, while Dahomey became a major player in the slave trade. 24. The Portuguese influence on African kingdoms ***. The Portuguese were instrumental in the decline of the Kingdom of Congo and Mutapa. However, a coalition of Omani and Somali forces eventually expelled the Portuguese from parts of East Africa. 25. European trade in Southeast Asia ***. The spice trade attracted European powers to Southeast Asia. The Dutch East India Company established a strong presence, surpassing the English East India Company and controlling key trade routes. 26. The Age of Discovery ***. The Age of Discovery marked a period of intense economic activity and cultural exchange. It laid the groundwork for modern interactions between the Old and New Worlds.